Okay, so the first thing we do is we get our buckets ready.
Okay.
I use these white buckets for sunflowers because the stems are going to be long.
Okay.
And you want to put about about 3 inches of water in the bucket. And this water has a CVBM tablet in it, which is a slow release chlorine. And you use that with flowers that are considered dirty flowers.
Okay.
So they have stems that have like little hairs on them that hold dirt, because otherwise the dirt will cause bacteria to build up, and bacteria is the thing that will decrease your flower's life expectancy
As a cut flower.
as a cut flower.
Okay.
Yep. So we have our buckets ready, so we're ready to go cut.
Okay.
So
See, I saw some ladybugs.
ladybugs are good.
Yeah.
They're eating aphids and other things. All right, so you want to, there's some kind of little bug there. You want to cut the flowers when the center is not well developed. You see the edge here? You see how pollen is forming along the edge? The flowers maturing.
Yes.
You want to minimize that. So you want a center that looks like that.
Okay.
Okay, so come on down here and look at this one. See how the center is developing, so there's more of this ring here and less of the center.
Right.
That's an aging flower.
Okay.
I will cut that and use it, but I won't use anything older than that.
Because it just
won't hold up.
Okay.
I mean, sunflowers will last a good 2 weeks if you cut them at the right time. Now, some people cut them like this, not completely opened, but because I'm using them for arrangements like ASAP, I cut them when they're more open. Sometimes, like for a florist or something, I'll cut them more closed.
If they're gonna be like in transit somewhere, would you cut them when they're not completely open?
You would. I don't do that with my flowers, but for example, if you were cutting for a wholesaler and then it was going to go to a florist, you would close that, cut them close. Some people treat them with something that prevents them from quote unquote prematurely opening. Unfortunately, sometimes they don't open at all, which is something my florists complain about when they buy wholesale sunflowers, is they were, closed like this and they never open.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, it's because it's treated with something to prevent that.
Right.
And so what we're going to do, these are relatively short. later in the season, they will be quite a bit taller. And it probably was a function of I planted these very early. I started them indoors and did them as transplants, which I don't usually do.
Uh-huh.
But I wanted to get early sunflowers, so that's why I did that. But we're going to cut long stems on these, so I'll show you how we do it.
Okay.
So some of these are showing branching, but these are single stem sunflowers. They're supposed to be single stem sunflowers. For some reason, they do send out side shoots. but they're
So
not
they would only get
functional.
one flower.
You only get one flower off of a single stem sunflower.
Okay.
So what we're going to do, we want it about arm's length, and we can always cut it down, but you want to cut it long, because especially if you're wrapping for long sunflowers.
Yeah.
So you reach down. This one is perfect. You reach down and you snip, and even that's a little bit short, but it's a small sunflower,
Okay.
and you can see these little side shoots,
Right.
but honestly they're not going to develop into anything. So you want to cut off all the bottom leaves. You might leave one or two small leaves at the top just for interest.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm not going to go put this in the bucket. I'm going to hang on to it, and I can use this one to measure the next.
Okay.
So this one is a little short, but so here's what I do. I hold it like this or like that, and so now I know where to cut that one to get the same length. Look at
Okay.
all the side shoots on that. That's really unusual.
Do you feel like that's related to them not growing as tall?
It could be. These are a variety called Pro Cuts, which are sort of a classic single stem sunflower. And I have had them do side shoots, but they never develop into anything. These are too young to cut, so we're just going to leave these. And I might find some really short ones. Well, that one isn't any good. Look at it. See, it's all marked. See it? I'm not. I'm just going to leave that to go to seed. And actually, you know what I'm going to do with this? Because look at the side shoots on that baby. I'm going to cut off the top flower off with its head. And if I do that, these side shoots will grow longer.
Okay.
And then I could use those like
right.
not as a bunch.
Yeah, those
of
look pretty
arrangements.
healthy and hardy.
It's interesting. That's a very interesting phenomenon in a single stem sunflower. It makes me wonder whether
I'm wondering if, sometimes if you like damage a fruit tree, it'll produce more fruit because it thinks it's dying or something. Maybe that there was some damage to their roots, so they just put out more heads to make more seed.
Yeah,
It's a hypothesis.
Yeah, I don't know. I believe that perhaps these are not, this particular one is not a Pro Cut. I had bought some other seeds because I like the look of the flower. I need to go back and look and see if it really was a single stem or whether it was a branch. But
Okay.
I'm using it as a single stem.
Right.
That one's not perfect, but
Now, on a single stem, you take the only flower that the plant's going to produce. Do you just go back and cut down the whole plant, or you leave it?
I leave it because I'm going to leave some of these to go to seed for the birds. When it really is all done, I'll take up the drip tape and mow it all down. I won't plant sunflowers here again this year. You shouldn't keep planting things in the same place.
What do you rotate after this?
I'll probably just leave this one unplanted.
Okay.
I have enough places to plant if I didn't. Yeah, I have a feeling that this really is not a single stem. because there's too many of them that have. I know for sure that those are single stem, so we'll look at those and see.
Okay. Would you like me to join you in this now?
If you're ready.
Okay, yeah. Anything else we should tell the world about sunflowers?
Yes. Something very important that I learned the hard way is that if you want smaller flowers, like this size, like 4-inch flowers, or
You mean the head?
yeah,
Okay.
you have to plant them closer together. The standard is 4 inches apart will give you a 4-inch flower. And some of these are a little smaller, but that's
Okay.
probably a function of these were started indoors and transplanted when it was still sort of cold and
So
wet.
does that mean if you plant them further apart, you get a bigger head?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Indeed.
Okay.
Indeed. And you will see later on down there where our seeding was not perfect. The flower heads will be much bigger. Now,
Mhm.
some people like them big. I find them not as useful.
Why is that?
Well, first of all, you can't use them in arrangements because they're too big.
Uh-huh.
I don't think they hold up as well over time. And when you sell a bunch of flowers, like if I were to, these are all about the same size, so I would sell this as a bunch.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a really big one and then a bunch of small ones, it just looks funny,
Right.
you know?
Uh-huh.
Some people like the bigger ones, and when I have bigger ones, I'll put together a bunch of bigger ones, and some people like that. But personally, I like this, like the 4 or 5 inch size better.
Yeah.
And I think they hold up better, and they're easier to put in a vase. Like, how do you put a flower this big in a
Yeah.
vase, you know?
Uh-huh.
So now that I have a bunch in my hand, I'm going to go stick them in the bucket.
And you put chlorine in the water already? That
I
what
put
is it called?
a CVBM tablet in the water,
Okay.
and it has dissolved. And you can see how the stems are like fuzzy.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, they have dirt on them.
Do you know why plants have that in the first place? Like, what's the
Probably
function?
protective from bugs.
Oh,
eating
bugs.
them.
Yeah.
It would be my just guess.
Right.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Good tutorial.